Hey, hey, hey. Suppo Kupo. Welcome on back to the Chao Garden. Back again. Muramasa, the Demon Blade. I'm not really sure what game I'm gonna play after this one, to be honest. I keep saying, like, another episode of Muramasa, the Demon Blade, but so far that's literally all I've been recording, so I'm not sure. I guess maybe what else I should be saying. Made myself a coffee after the previous episode. Haven't had anything to eat though. Hopefully the coffee is a good enough meal. Boy breakfast. Wow. Is that a bow? Okay, I thought she was holding a insanely curved katana, but I think she's holding a bow. She's on the back of a horse, so that would make more sense. What the hell is up with the horse? I kind of forgot about Torihime. Now that I'm seeing her, it's kind of ringing a bell. I think a couple episodes ago I had mentioned I was thinking of another game I wanted to play in between Momohime and Kisuke's campaigns for the Let's Plays. I did check that game out, but it ended up not being much of a game like I was expecting, so I'll leave it at that. It didn't pan out. There's a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game that's never came to the West, I think, based on the title. I'm interested in trying that one out. That would be fun. It would be kind of cool to be able to release I'll make you bark out the other side of your face. It would be kind of interesting to be able to release episodes of different series at the same time, so that if you weren't interested in Muramasa, you would have something different to watch, and vice versa. But I also don't want to, like, just take a break from Muramasa and start recording a different game in case you were enjoying this playthrough and you want to see how it ends. Yeah, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game is the one that kind of stood out to me as being like, oh, this is interesting, and not a lot of people have probably seen this one, making it very worthwhile to record. She remembers him. I don't know if I'd call that armor. Got a couple pieces on, but... Wow, the song is really good. It kicked in at just the right time. I'm confused why Kisuke's achievements for starting the boss fights at a certain level don't pop up in the corner. Like, that's the exact kind of thing that the achievement tracking was made for. To show me that I'm within the conditionals. So I'm a little confused by that. Oh, no swords. Oh my god. The horse. This is a bit of an annoying boss fight. This game feels like it is, to me at least, more enjoyable on this difficulty, if I'm being real. I don't know if it's just like this isn't exactly the kind of game that I feel like I want to be challenged in the way that Shura was offering, and I know there's another difficulty on top of it that kind of scares me. Maybe it's too early to say, but I feel like I'm having more fun with the game right now on this difficulty mode. That attack Phantom seems so weak. It's an uppercut with like a ghostly version of myself, but it does no damage. Like 60 damage. I guess that's... I think it is, at least. Hard to tell. It didn't seem very strong, and then as soon as I started using it, I actually won the fight, so who knows. Magoroku Kanemoto. Level 9. Okay, so not only did I start and finish the fight under level 9, but I finished at level 8.
ざわつくんじゃねえ。こんなべっぴん切られるか。馬を撃っただけで姫さんには傷一つつけちゃいねえ。やめだやめだ。押し付けの任務なぞ知ったことか。だいたい鼻持ちならん柳生の野郎を信じる方がどうかしてら。俺が忍びで宝刀を取りに来たのは伊賀で聞いたが、今はなぜだか裏切り者として奴らに命を狙われてる。頭でも撃ったのか本当に覚えちゃいねえんだ。知っているなら何があったか教えてくれ。
ごまかされんぞ。城の奉公人として姫様に近づき、半年もの間よくも騙してくれたものよ。
Plot thicken.
姫様もあれほど心を許しておられたというに、知れ者め。わしが代わってその首討ち取ってくれるわ。
The design of these warriors is really cool. Look at all that blood draped around, like, the neckline, I guess. The arrow. Yeah, it's just cool. Oh my god, it doesn't even have hands. There's no actual limbs. It's just animated armor. Didn't catch that till now. Wow, cool.
頭を打ったじゃ。もう少しマシな言い訳をせい。貴様が徳川に鏡の忌み刀を渡してしまったのだ。うぬの招いた災いがその口が言う太平の世を危うくしておるのがわからぬか。各地に張った結界も我らを江戸へ近づけんがため、もはや公儀はあの太刀に操られておるも同然よ。
Yeah, in some ways it feels like I was supposed to do Kisuke's story first. It feels like it sets up more of the game and the world. compared to Momohime. Just my impression so far, though.
騒乱の折、わらわをかばって切られ、瀕死の傷を負ったのも狂言であろう。
切られた？俺が？確かに傷なんかねえし、ピンピンしてら。
持ち出した刀がどれほど危ういものかお主には解せない。抜けば世に災いを招くたたり神のついた妖刀九頭竜村正。法実ただ非せよと明神様の仰せを受け、室町から代々母方の血族が巫女として守り隠してきたのじゃ。
What's going on?
あれを鞘から抜いた者は何人であろうと撃たねばならぬ。それが代々巫女の血筋の役目なれば、たとえ逆賊の汚名が後世に残ろうともなさねばならん。刀を封じ本懐を遂げたその後はこの首一つ晒すのみ。
That's so cool, the giant transparent horse. What is up with that? Permanent X-ray. Now we're just following her. So, recently I was catching a couple of these videos on my YouTube recommended of people playing the N64 Zelda games for the first time. There's, I guess, it must be like a new generation of people growing up and experiencing video games, and you know, like Ocarina of Time is still well respected and talked about to this day, but it's not exactly at the forefront of the Nintendo eShop or anything. People don't push it as hard as they did, you know, still a decade ago when it was even more widely talked about in the cultural zeitgeist. Like it's somewhat slowly fading. I guess Ocarina of Time 3D came out like, oh god, I'm gonna be wrong, but probably like 10 years ago, right? At least 2026 now. Oh man, it's probably older than that. It might be closer to 15. God, I'm old. But yeah, it's interesting that people come up with this idea like, oh, what if I experienced this game for the first time blindly and show it to you guys? Like how I feel as maybe a newer generation of gamer seeing this phenomenon, this game that inspired game design for years to come. It's a good idea.
キスケ様にどう話してよいのやら。遠州の狐の申すには、
Captured by monks? He just left. Oh, okay. But yes, I think the first one I was seeing was... It was like an hour-long one, which is up my alley. I like those longer videos. But it was by someone... I think their name on YouTube is just Spicy. I think that's their name. But I don't know, something about the thumbnail didn't catch my attention, didn't grab me, didn't make me feel like I wanted to watch it. This other person also was doing the same thing, but their video was like 20 minutes. Which is not preferable to me, but I was like, oh, they're just gonna condense their thoughts of the game into a shorter video. But something about the title or the thumbnail stood out to me more, so I checked it out. And the guy, I actually think it was Majora's Mask. That's the one that stands out to me more. Everybody talks about Ocarina of Time. I'm more interested to hear what people say about Majora's Mask, because I like that game more. I think it has more to say. So I checked out this guy's Majora's Mask video, the second one, the second guy with the 20-minute video or whatever. And it was titled like, I played the darkest Zelda game for the first time. So I go, okay, I mean, it's arguable if it's the darkest Zelda game, but I understand your point. You played Majora's Mask for the first time. I click it, and it's just like him playing up to the first temple, I think, or like he beat the first temple and like that's where the video ended. And it's like, come back to see me play some more of the game later. So the title wasn't really misleading, to be real, but it made it sound to me like it was going to be talking about the whole game. Then I happened to catch him release part 2, and the title was like the exact same. Like, I played the Darkest Zelda game for the first time. It was very similar, but slightly different. And each one of his video titles, I realized, looking back at Ocarina of Time, same deal. Like, I played this game for the first time. So you can, like, jump into any one of his videos because they all sound the same, and you would be at, like, some random point of the game. So it's essentially like a Let's Play. But he's kind of cut it down, as opposed to, like, this is just raw and uncut, and you have to listen to every thought that comes to my head. I guess there's not anything necessarily wrong with that approach, but I don't like it. To me, it's kind of like bait. It didn't say part 1 or anything. To me, it sounded like it was supposed to be the whole game. I don't know. That bothered me. It rubbed me the wrong way. It turned me off. I watched 2 of the videos and thought, okay, this is like a snail's pace. At this point, I'd rather either watch your thoughts, like complete thoughts on the game after you finish it in a longer video, or I'd like to just watch your entire playthrough uncut. I don't want the middle ground of like, oh, I did a cut of my playthrough, but it still contains most of my playthrough. That's just my taste. I didn't like that. Pretty sure I left a comment even letting the guy know, like, I'm not gonna watch any more of these. It's just, this is just not the right format or pacing for me. Oh, I want to do this evil lair, enemy lair, but a bunch of experience I can't afford to obtain right now. So anyway, I saw that the first guy, Spicy, that one, I remember his name. I don't remember the other guy's name. Not out of any sense of disrespect, it's just I literally watched Spicy's video like last night, so I think I just remember it more clearly. Spicy released a Majora's Mask video now, and I thought, oh, okay, now I'm in. Now I'm interested to see what you got to say, like, for sure. I clicked it, got a few minutes in, and realized it was the same guy who had made that Ocarina of Time video I hadn't watched yet, so I decided I should watch that one first. And it was interesting. It was good. I liked to hear the perspective of someone who's never played that kind of game. People, I looked at the comments, and it was nothing but people just like dunking on him in the comments, which it was a little harsh, if I'm going to be real. I'm a critic. I criticize people a lot, probably more than I should, but usually I try to be fair. This was just a bunch of people making fun of him in a sense, because he says at the beginning of the video, like, I'm not so good at puzzle games, and I know that Zelda games are essentially puzzle games. And then a bunch of people in the comments basically said, yeah, you weren't kidding that you're not good at puzzle games. I think there's a nicer way to frame that critique. He did struggle a lot, but I think what's more interesting than to, like, point and laugh at someone who has some trouble in a Zelda game is that game design is different now. Games handhold you and have to explain things a lot more clearly, and if they don't, I'll be the first one to probably criticize them. We've changed our perspective on how games should be designed. If it's not clear what to do or where to go and you're just fumbling around, you have 7,000 other games you can play at any given moment. They can't just leave you there, like, to dry with no... Especially if it's a linear game, there's only one correct choice. If it's an open world game, or you have the freedom to do whatever, they don't need to give you as much direction. But in a Zelda 64 game, where there's only really one route that's intended for you to get through the game. You're blocked in so many avenues if you were to try and explore. They need to tell you where to go or give you better understandings. Boosts enemy damage by 5%. What? I have been watching a friend play through Majora's Mask for the first time, and they grew up with me, so they're, I think, like, they're from that generation. But it's still been interesting to watch them play through Majora's Mask for the first time after years of not playing retro games, and like having to reacclimate to the design philosophy of those games. And sad their dialogue's the same between both characters. But, like, what did this guy do in his Ocarina of Time video so far? I haven't seen the Majora's Mask one yet. I'll do that. I plan to do that tonight after I finish all these recordings. But it's like, he said, oh, I don't know how I was ever expected to, like, figure out, without just a ton of blind experimenting, that I was supposed to play this mini-game for a Zora in Zora's domain. The mini-game's prize is a scale, and the scale lets you dive underwater. Then you have to go all the way to Lake Hylia, either via the shortcut in Zora's domain or by going there in the overworld through Hyrule Field. Use the scale's diving ability to grab a bottle, a letter in a bottle, and give that to the king. Like, there's a couple hints around, sure, but there's nothing that really tells you exactly what you're supposed to do in any specific ways. It's understandable, I think, that a player who doesn't understand and isn't used to that design philosophy of a game that doesn't hold your hand so much, why you would get stuck for a while, and repeatedly, many times, stuck because of the lack of direction. I think that that's fascinating. It's a good look. Another interesting one is like Rasputin. Raz? He might just go by Raz now. on YouTube. I believe still that his icon is like a person with a paper bag over their head. I haven't checked out his content in quite a while, but he had made some videos where he was showing his girlfriend or fiance or wife, whatever relationship, his significant other. He was introducing her to a bunch of video games for the first time, and she also didn't understand the language of video games. And so he was making these video essays of like, oh, what is it like and how does a game communicate to a brand new player? Maybe someone who hasn't played a video game before, like Zelda, or even something as difficult as Dark Souls. How does Dark Souls indicate its mechanics to a brand new player, someone who might be playing that as their first video game? Very fascinating stuff. Because you know what? Any video game could be someone's first game. Maybe less and less so as time goes on and video games become more popular. It's kind of become more of a design trend that any game could be a launching point. And so you have to include these in-depth tutorials at the beginning to explain every little facet of it. But that's still probably not entirely true. There's lots of things that games don't communicate to players that are kind of expected, that you just get it. I would love to make my own sort of video going over all that kind of stuff too in the future. My own girlfriend, I had to kind of help her understand gaming a little more. I was under the impression she was a big-time gamer when her and I originally got together, because she played a lot of Overwatch. And she had a Switch and Animal Crossing, She knew some Zelda references. I'm like, oh, she's totally a gamer. She understands. Then I realized she had never played a Zelda game. And I was like, okay, well, let's start you off with one that I think is pretty accessible to anyone. It's a good combo. It's a good middle ground between not too retro, but not too modern. Wind Waker. That's a good first Zelda, I think. And, you know, I have to admit, it was kind of difficult to watch her play this game. It was frustrating, even, at times. Because she didn't understand the language of video games as much as I expected her to. Or game sense is what I sometimes referred to it as. Like, standing in a room where there's nothing there except like an eyeball on the wall, and then watching someone like her maybe just not ever look up. Gamers don't look up. Or not realizing like, oh, that eye could be interacted with. If you're in a room and there's an item, there's only a couple items, like they're meant to be interacted with. And she's gotten better at understanding that sort of thing, but it's fascinating to see how someone who's not used to it will engage with the medium, because they just don't know. Video game worlds are different than the real world. Did she just not say anything at all? Wow, okay. Kinda weird. Yeah, that's a big time fascinating topic to me. I could continue to talk about it, but kind of leave it there. I'm super interested in seeing this guy play Majora's Mask, because I'd say that for a lot of people, Majora's Mask is intended as a direct follow-up to Ocarina of Time. The game is harder. It starts off kind of gentle, but it very quickly ramps up, because I think a lot of people expect, and the developers expect, that you've already played Ocarina of Time before going into Majora's Mask. The game itself kind of communicates that idea to you, and I think it's accurate. But you know, my friend that I mentioned has been playing Majora's Mask for the first time. They haven't played Ocarina of Time in a long time. They had played it, but not for a decade or two, probably. Here's my smoke bombs. And so they forgot a lot of the lessons that old Zelda has. You know, they're more used to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Very, very free-form puzzle solving in those games. It was particularly frustrating when I was watching them. I think it's easier if I just spoil it. A little bit of a spoiler sometime halfway through the game in Majora's Mask, so you've been warned, I guess. There is a point in the game when you're supposed to reach the third area, Great Bay. If you go to it at a certain point in the game, I think after you've beaten the second dungeon, and the intended area for you to go is Great Bay, and you go in that direction from town, you can walk up to this big gate. You can't get over this gate or this fence. And if you do so, your companion character will offer a hint, and the hint is something like, oh, if only you still had your horse that was stolen from you. And so, okay, that's a good hint. You need your horse for this. My friend, when playing, Super Moth Girl, by the way, I don't know why I'm being coy about it. Super Moth Girl, and she will have her videos of that playthrough up, hopefully sometime soon, or by the time you watch this, they will be available. She had a vested interest in the horse before even going in that direction towards Great Bay. So she unlocked the horse, but that wasn't like the standout thing. It was the ranch, actually. The ranch storyline was of big interest to her. And getting the horse unlocked was like just a bonus, because it's optional in Ocarina of Time. So she was just like, oh, this was an optional thing. The main thing was getting to see the storyline unfold of the ranch. Then went to Great Bay, but since you already have the horse, the game assumes you understood why you got the horse. You already knew the purpose of unlocking it. So the hint is no longer offered. My friend never saw that hint. She didn't go to Great Bay first, she got the horse. So she fumbled around for quite a while going, how do I get over this fence? I don't understand. And honestly, if you look at it, there's no way the horse can jump over that fence. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be able to, but it can, and that's the solution. But it was just fascinating to see the game designed in that way. Oh, you did Y before X? Well, then you know why you have Y. You know why Y exists. Probably should have used a different letter for that. But just the assumption that the player has a perfect understanding of what they're doing and why, it was so interesting, because I never knew it. You grow up with a game and you play it on and off for 15, 20, 25 years, and you just know it like the back of your hand. You don't need that stuff explained to you. You know it. So seeing someone go through it for the first time and understanding from their perspective why things are the way they are, or like questioning why things are the way they are, yeah. Very unique experience. Anyway, sorry. I went on about that for maybe too long. Back to Muramasa. So we ran into this character once before as Momohime, right? I think we went through an ice area up in the mountains and briefly saw this character Sayo. But just once, I think.
世にあだなす魔物も当然。この秋葉さんの大結界、悪鬼の類一匹たりとも通しはせぬ。その奇想の浮き出た尋常でない面相、何かに疲れたものの目じゃ。刀をよこせ。見たところ、原因はそれであろう。
By the looks of you, you must be possessed. Momohime was possessed, but no one ever said something like that to her. No one ever said, you look possessed. And yet Kisuke, the one who, I guess as far as I know, isn't possessed, is the one that people are accusing of it. Very, very curious. I just realized I never turned off the frame rate counter in the corner. Hold on. I said I would do that and then I didn't. It just stood out to me now. Sorry about that. Oops.
大結界にて一網打尽となったが、姫は馬で単身逃れられ、前当時法然御所を頼って大和の国へ。今となっては頼れるのは貴殿だけ。恥を忍んでお頼み申す。何とぞ虎姫様にご助勢を。
I don't know if you heard that. I feel like my phone just went off. Supposed to be muted.
怨霊らは江戸を目指しておったようじゃが、どちらにせよ一歩たりとも彼女は踏めまい。江戸を覆う結界は霊峰富士の流脈を源とする大々結界。ここ秋葉山とは比べ物にもならん強力な結界よ。
The Ray line at Mount Fuji.
お主も観念せえ。不穏の目、摘み取らずに置くまいぞ。不動明王の徳を
Prepare yourself.
魔性を焼き払う悪霊封じのお札と。
I actually have to fight her? There's no way. No way I fight Sayo. He summoned something. What? Are you serious? Yeah, getting multi-hit combos on a character like her, like a high hit count, would be very frustrating. What? Flying away? Wow, she's just destroying my swords with something. Oh, nice. Muramasa. I don't feel like I was holding block there, and yet I blocked it. Does normal / easy mode have an auto block? Oh, no. Birds. Oh no. Poor birds, they gave up their lives for her attack. And I just missed. My sword. Yeah, there must be an auto block. Was that always a thing? Am I dumb? Don't answer that. I gotta stop asking bad questions. Get back here. I don't know if I have the excuse of, oh, I was just hitting her horse. Kogarasu Maru. Hard to read some of these names. I need to break it up into like each bit by bit. I don't know, the words are escaping me. I need to break it up into each like syllable, I guess. I feel like my brain is not operating properly this morning. Probably what happens when you just immediately go right to your video games when you wake up. And don't eat breakfast. That's my thing though, if I just drink coffee at night, it's not until I eat something that my body realizes it's hungry. So if I just don't eat anything for a while, I probably won't be hungry until lunch, when I start to fade. I was summoned by your fierce devotion. Oh, okay, wait. Ghost of Oboroya Senju. So this is Oboro style. Is this one of the people that Jinkuro killed, one of his family members, or was this guy already long since dead? Either way, he knows Oboro style. He's the one who helped Kisuke survive. And is the reason that he knows Oboro style. Very interesting, okay. This is why they say he's possessed. What are the odds that this guy and Jinkuro both know Oboro style and possessed the two main characters of the game? What's that about?
今はの際に珍しいもんが見えら三途の川に溺れず済むってんならわらだろうがつかむぜ俺にはまだ死ねねえ理由がある刀を奪われちまった取り返さねえと虎姫を泣かせちまう目がかすんできやがった助けるならもったいぶらずにとっととしやがれなんだろうが受けてやらこりゃあ俺だ虎姫をかばって切られたのは狂言なんかじゃねえ刀を守りきれずに死にかけてやがる
ムクロを野添にさらす始末となりしが我が弟子の裏切りのため大御所欲しさにして皆を騙し討った憎きやつされどその弟子も切られ死にし今となっては何恨むべきことも
My regret remains. My style isn't passed on.
魔道に落ちながら凄まじき修練の果てへ得した
So when Sayo,
扇たち継ぐ者だ
when she could see that we knew Oboro style, she knew because the secret arts that we perform with the swords, like the literal like magical abilities, those are strange to her. Like she sees them happening and is like, the only reason you can do that is because of Oboro style.
こうしてお主が来たのに
I didn't catch that until now.
魔界で知り得た合コンの奥義にて我ら一つとなれば傷は嘘のように言えよたとえこの魂が流天の輪を外れ永遠に消え去ろうとも剣のためならば一片の悔いもない
鳴神に潜入した里の忍びは20人隠された宝刀を探り出し江戸へ奪い去るのが目的だった宝刀を盗み売ろうとする奉公人が捕まり村正法事が露呈謀反の志ありと鳴神を取り潰す確かそんな筋書きだ
Hold on, I need to read that again.
鳴神に潜入した里の忍びは宝刀を
Okay.
ドクロ谷の忍び頭だ真相を知った虎姫を証拠隠滅に切ろうとしやがったやつだお札の荒領事が聞きやがったのかすっかり思い出したぜ命を預けたあん時の幽霊がおぼろ流とかの剣豪で習いもしねえのにとんでもねえ剣の腕はそのせいかよりによってこの俺が片恋の女のために命を張っていたとはな道理で虎姫が気になるわけだ畜生思い出した途端に胸が苦しくなってきやがったや
Oops. Yeah, I'm gonna double down here on this limb and say, yeah, I think Kisuke's story is more... Do you want to quit without saving your game? I hope you don't mean quit the whole game. I just didn't catch if I got that achievement. Hold on, before I continue my thought. Okay, I did. It was for level 12. Yeah, I think Kisuke's story seems more immediately engaging to me. And so I feel as though it makes more sense to play the game as him first. But maybe that's just because I already played Momohime's. Maybe my perspective is skewed. This area only connects 2 other ones. I want to explore those other areas in case they're just like one-off rooms, but there's a shrine right there. I can teleport to it when I beat the game. But yeah, I feel as though I know a couple things that maybe in some ways I shouldn't know about Kisuke's storyline because I've already done Momohime's, and I don't know if it would have had the same effect the other way around. And also Momohime's plot to me felt a little more confusing. If I had known these other characters and more about like the Oboro style and stuff beforehand, I think it would have made it more immediately digestible, and like the curiosity would have been stronger. I don't know. If you've played the game and you disagree or something, I'd love to hear about it, but that's how it's feeling to me right now. I'm skipping these enemy layers and I'm not opening them because I've learned my lesson that if I do that, the colored icon on the map disappears. And so it's harder for me to remember which ones I have and have not cleared. And I'm trying not to clear them right now anyway, because they give a ton of XP. I'm trying to avoid that right now. Cupid. Surprised that she knows like the name or the term Cupid.
やっぱりなんでもね男がこんなめめしいことじゃいけねえ
そのうちにお聞きいたしましょう
I'm trying to think of like what else I've been up to lately, because now I'm running through these areas and I gotta think of something to talk about. Every time I look at my Steam lately, I just don't know what to play. I've always had this strategy of balancing like what games I play for my backlog simultaneously so I don't get too overwhelmed. Like I only want one long form, say like 60+ hour or maybe dense RPG game at a time. No more than like 2 live service games at a time. Always have maybe a filler game or like a casual thing that you don't need to pay attention to any of the story. You don't need to remember any of the characters. You're just kind of playing it. And then, depending on all those other rules, like maybe cap out at 6 simultaneous games, but that might sound like a lot, but as someone whose life has always just been like video games is one of the only hobbies I have, that doesn't seem too crazy, but definitely I've been cutting back on that lately. I don't have as much time to play these games, so I look at my library and every game I see, it's just too long. It's too big of a game. And typically I like longer games, ones that I can absorb myself in that world more. But I'm becoming a fan of games that also don't waste my time and are just like short and sweet. I've had this problem over the years where game design is changing. So again, we'll go back to Zelda examples. How about that? Because I feel like a lot of people are familiar with Zelda in some way. So in like the N64 Zelda games, like Ocarina of Time, you go through this linear story, and there's some side quests to do, but no one would really fault you for not doing all the side quests, because the rewards are like art pieces. more often than not, that's all you get. Heart pieces. And there's a couple of bottles to be had. Golden Skulltulas are the big collectible of the game, but good luck finding all those on your own. I never did it in all my life until I started using guides. Those are ridiculously hard to find. So, like, most people aren't gonna bother with that stuff, because who cares? You get the full experience of the game without engaging with those parts of it. And that's not the stuff that people talk about. Go forward to something like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, you have tons and tons of content that would take you significantly longer. Ocarina of Time, how long is that game? 20, 30 hours? I don't even know. I feel like that might even be in excess of how long it takes to beat that game normally, but I'm not sure. Breath of the Wild easily took me 80 hours. Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't even beat all the shrines yet, like I wanted to. I still have 100+ hours in that game. And I wanted to go back and keep playing and do more. But, like, not everyone has the kind of time for that. That's one of the reasons I haven't gone back, is because I know, oh, I'm just kind of completing it for the sake of it at this point. I'm not so interested. And it's gonna take dozens more hours, like, for sure. They have Korok seeds, but that's another collectible. Like, the game doesn't expect you to go out of your way for Korok seeds. They're a little treat, a little bonus. But I would say a lot of games these days, they don't have a respect for your time. Their narratives, like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, you can just go to the ending whenever you feel like. It's my fault that I took 100 hours because I was exploring and trying to see everything. But you can beat those games a lot faster if you're just focused on the story. And as much as I love Hades 1 and Hades 2, amazing, amazing games, I do criticize them for having these endings that take way too long. Not to mention the fact that their requirements are, like, kind of opaque and arbitrary. Like, it's hard to know what they even want of you to reach the epilogues of those games. But it just takes too long. And then there's these, like, post-game activities that, I don't know, some games it just doesn't feel like they respect your time. And that's becoming a bigger trend, on top of the fact that there are more games for people to play. It was fine that Golden Skulltulas in Ocarina of Time, or like all the masks and heart pieces and Majora's Mask, were like difficult to get. It might take you a really long time. You might have to explore every corner of the world 6 times over. But, like, you didn't have as many games to get through. You probably got that game and it was one of the only games you were gonna play for months. These days, a lot of people, if they're a big-time gamer, that's their main hobby, if you don't dedicate your life to multiplayer games, if you play single-player games, you're probably getting a new single-player game every few weeks. Not everyone does that, I don't do that, but most people that I know of, they are capable of doing that, and they do that. They buy tons of games because there are so many available. So the fact that games are getting longer, it's like counterintuitive. We don't have the time to spend on these games. So for now I like appreciate when a game, the campaign takes 15 hours, and then there's like 5 hours of post-game and collectible hunting, and it's like, okay, I did 100%, and it took 20 hours. To me, that's short and sweet. You know, I think I saw a comment, a poor comment made towards Hades 1 the other day, where the person said, I'm pretty sure I was close to the ending, so I have the ability to speak on this. But they had only played the game for like 10 or 15 hours. I say only. But if you played Hades 1 for 10 to 15 hours, you weren't close to the ending. That game is really long. I think it takes like 60 hours on average. I'd have to double check, but it's long, especially once you factor in the epilogue. That takes forever. Hades 2 is the same way, but yeah, it's like people even get the wrong impression of how long a game is supposed to be. Trying to even find my point. This game seems like it wraps up in a decent amount of time. There's probably, I might have been able to take that fast travel and get to where I want to go a little sooner, but I'm not sure. There's some downtime running between areas, but other than that, this game doesn't really have all this side stuff, these distractions, like mini games and collectibles and side quests, just to pad out the game. Some people use the length of a game as a metric of its quality, and I feel like that's been a talking point a lot. And most reasonable people don't feel that way about games. It doesn't have to be a long game to be a good game. If you want a time waster, go play a live service game. That's what they're there for. I just dislike its prevalence in single player stuff, I guess. Let me try and think of another example, which is always difficult as I'm multitasking here by playing a game at the same time. The only thing coming to my mind right now is Dead Rising 4. How each Dead Rising game had an achievement for killing, like, the population of whatever the game's setting was. That amount in zombies. And each game was bigger than the last, so that number would go up. And then Dead Rising 4 in particular is a bad game, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, but those games, it's an achievement, so you could argue that it's optional, but Dead Rising was always cool in that achievements often gave you tangible in-game rewards. So it becomes less optional feeling in that sense. And those, like, population slaying achievements always gave pretty cool rewards. I mean, the fact that it's not just an achievement, but it gives you something in-game means the developers had to account for the fact that the player will do that, right? Like, it's not just something that a publisher or whatever slapped in at the last second without the authority of the devs or the permission. The devs knew that this achievement was going to be a thing. So, what I like to do as a thought experiment, I guess, is take an achievement like that that's just kind of grinding. Okay, so the achievement in question is just like kill, I don't even know, 400,000 zombies. We'll just say that number for the purposes of this thought process. So, the first thing you would think of as soon as you decide you're going to attempt this is, okay, what's the most efficient way to kill zombies? Because almost nobody is going to accomplish this just in passing, especially the first 3 Dead Rising games where you're on a timer. Like, the game resets itself and your kill total goes down to 0. Not the case for Dead Rising 4, but that's besides the point. Everyone is going to say to themselves, okay, if I'm going for this achievement, what's the most efficient way to do it? And if the answer to the most efficient way to do it is to just do the same thing over and over and over, and it takes like 8+ hours of just that, then, like, why did you design the achievement that way? Because again, we're talking about optimized, like, that's the most efficient way to do it. So that's the fastest way to do it. If you do it in any other way, it's going to take you significantly longer. Not just like 10 or 12 hours, but like probably 16 plus, like double the amount of time, I bet. Is that what the developers wanted you to do? They wanted it to take like a minimum of 8 hours of your life doing nothing but just trying to get this achievement in the most boring way possible. Like, who does that? What is going on in their minds when they make something like that? It should be something you could either passively work your way towards, or if it takes a ton of focused grinding like that, you're dedicating all of your time to just that one task. It should not take 8 hours. I'm sure there's even better examples, but that's something to me that's just ridiculous. Absolute disrespect for your time. And to me, that example always sticks out in my head because I'm like, you know, they knew. They knew I would try to do this. They knew many people would try to do this, and they didn't have a better strategy. Crazy. Games make me mad sometimes. Atsusame. Earth Runner. I bet that's like Earthworm. Log Chop. Edauchi. Yoiyami. Oh, I still can't make this blade because the Momohimes are technically not complete. I need more spirit. Wow. Oh boy, it's already been an hour. I was starting to think, wow, I think I've been playing for a while. Yep. Kind of the same thing. Although it's just a big explosion at the end rather than... Momohime's version was... That's cool. Momohime's version, like, had multiple hits. Sake Libation. I feel like I was using those at the end of Momohime's run. I'm already getting them. Kisuke. These ninja that are on the kites. They're annoying because they explode like that. Cross. Well, that's cool. I don't know how effective it is, but it's cool. Finally here in Yamato. Ugh, so many enemies. I guess that's kind of multi-hit from the explosion, but... Planning on playing some more Baldur's Gate 3 tonight. It's a great, great, great game. Oh, I can just ignore those enemies. But I had started a campaign with my friends many, many months ago, but we were unable to continue for quite a while here, and we're just now finally able to continue this campaign. I'm looking forward to it because I don't know, I just haven't gotten to... That's another game that I wouldn't say it disrespects your time, but I mean, you can just keep coming back to it, and there's always like more cool stuff that you can play with that you didn't get a chance to before. And that's what's rough. You find a game that's like that, I'd say it's the perfect mix. Like, you can run through that game if you want, you can sprint through it, but there's just so much to see and do. It makes you want to come back and spend another 100 hours. At least that's how it is for me. Oh, that door I skipped was probably an item. Oh, spiders. I think there's a spider boss, isn't there? Because I don't remember fighting these things as Momohime. I had to fight a centipede? Spider boss sounds familiar to me. I'm still, like, my brain is still trying to think of games that are good examples of, like, disrespecting your time. Where that's, like, one of my main complaints with it. That's still where I am mentally right now. I feel like I have to look at my Steam library to remember. It can still be fun, it can still be good, but it's just, I think, a trend of more modern games to have more stuff in them that's, like, maybe pointless in padding, or it's just there's no effective way to do it. They want you to do it, and they wanted it to take a long time, or they didn't offer any means of going about it. Oh my gosh, it's a big plague in indie games for sure. I love playing those, like Bullet Hell, Bullet Heaven, Survivor, Vampire Survivor-like games. A lot of those, it's like, oh, please play on every single individual difficulty on every individual map with every individual character to unlock all the stuff. And it's like, listen, I'm here to waste time, but not waste that much time. Like, chill out. I'll have to take a look at a list and maybe let you know in the next episode, but we're a little over the average time I was expecting to, but here we are right in front of the boss, so I don't know why I decided to cut these off right before bosses. I think it just worked out that way because of the time in the first few episodes, and it's the trend that continues. So hopefully you've been having fun. Hopefully you enjoy these little monologues that I go on, and you know, I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on how they feel about games, game design, retro versus modern. Any takes that you have, I'd love to hear, because I want to know more perspectives. Mine isn't the only one that counts. You know, I think everybody's got something valuable to say. So definitely let me know, and if you've been enjoying or you have any feedback, let me know about that too. I appreciate it as always, and I hope to see you at the next one. Peace.